Welcome to another episode, everyone. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. It goes a long way in supporting my work. Let's watch as Jasmine Crockett absolutely demolishes Pam Bondi and calls her the worst attorney general in the history of the United States. I absolutely agree. She dismantles her in totality.
Basic questions really quickly of my colleague, Becca Ballin, if she will answer right or wrong, raping children.
Wrong.
Right or wrong, killing random citizens.
Definitely wrong.
Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States.
Definitely wrong.
Okay, thank you, because I probably never would have got that with our witness. Our witness who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses. I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried, but typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive when a witness fails to actually answer the question. But nevertheless, let me address the survivors, because that's exactly who they are. They are not victims, they are survivors. Let me say thank you for having more courage and moral clarity in your pinky fingers than the entire Department of Justice. We are currently the laughing stock of the world, partially because of the failed leadership within the DOJ, as we see kings and queens falling everywhere around the world. But we don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country, because it's not about partisanship. And that's why I applaud Thomas Massie, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to corruption. But nevertheless, let me keep going. My Democratic colleagues have been attacked this entire committee hearing. They have been lied on. And frankly, the American people weren't looking for that. They were looking for answers about the corruption that they see coming from this administration. In the written testimony of this witness, of this particular witness, she stated that when she took office, she had two main goals. The first was to end the weaponization of justice, and second, to return the department to its core mission. Not only have you lied about both, you've intentionally done the exact opposite. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting pedophiles and creeps. In fact, your boss, the President of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And I might add that y'all actually had a judge that rejected y'all for trying to arrest Don Lemon before, just like the grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Kelly, just like a grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Slotkin, just like the case against Tish James was dismissed and the case against Mr. Comey was dismissed. I completely don't get how it is that you're sitting at the top of DOJ, because you don't seem to be good at your job. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting these journalists. In fact, we know after Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were arrested, we know that there were homes of journalists that were raided. We know that threatened prosecution against students protesting your actions and forced tech companies to remove apps used to track ISIS activities. But let's circle back to you protecting pedophiles and creeps, because
Well, that's what they do, Jasmine. We know this. They protect creeps. They protect PDF files because they themselves are that. They are of the same ilk. They abuse children. These individuals are steeply involved in the Epstein files and the Epstein abuse. And for the ones who are not involved, let's say like Pam Bondi, the women who may not have abused children, their relatives have, their counterparts have, their cohorts have, the administration has. So they still cover them. They still blanket them with protection. And as I've said before, anyone who protects Donald Trump after reading the Epstein files, where Donald Trump is implicated over 1,000 times, and it is clear via the Epstein files that a 13-year-old girl accused Donald J. Trump of assaulting her, and further said that Jeffrey Epstein assaulted her after Donald Trump. and that Jeffrey Epstein was upset with Donald Trump because he assaulted her first, because Donald Trump assaulted her first, because he went first. That Jeffrey Epstein was outraged with Donald Trump over this. I mean, he's ready to end the man, exterminate and delete Donald Trump for going first and abusing a 13-year-old girl. Pam Bondi, I'm sure, has children. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming. Maybe I'll check into that. But for those who do and that protect Donald Trump, and you have 13-year-old daughters and 14-year-old daughters and 15 and 12 and 11, or sons, I'll say that you're sick and that CPS, Child Protective Services, need to come and pay a visit to you and make sure that that child is okay. Because if you protect people like this, then you're complicit, you're culpable. You are also a culprit. You will also, devolve into the sort of sadistic behaviors that these individuals have devolved into. If you support them and you cover them blindly, then you're saying that you're okay with this rampant, detestable abuse that they have exercised and perpetrated against these young girls. Pam Bondi is one of them. Caroline Levitt, all of them protect Trump, even Comer, because they all have their hands dirty. You have to understand that this is a sick cult. These are sick, deranged, barbaric individuals. I don't care what you say. They are. They have proven it time and time again throughout their history. Evidence abounds of their depravity and their lust for blood and their lust for younger women, which is why you see a lot of these celebrities married to younger women. I said this many years ago. All of them. Name one that is of that ilk. These MAGA-type maggots, they all have younger wives. From Brad Pitt to Tom Cruise, all of them got younger wives. It's their affinity for younger women. This is why during slavery they couldn't keep their hands off of the black woman, even the young black girl, because they're sick. And if you voted for Trump, if you triple Trump, you are racist, you are a supremacist, and you're sick. Well, what about the blacks that supported Trump? They're sick in the head. That's what about them. They need to stay out of our community. That too.
I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter. So let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. Fact number
38,000 references. I'm sitting there talking about over 1,000. 38,000 references of Trump or his wife, Melania, who they say Epstein introduced Trump to Melania. That Melania used to be in some of Epstein's pageants or what have you. She was a model or whatever the heck, but Epstein introduced Melania and Donald Trump, but they have mentioned 38,000 times. Look at Trump sitting here on a picture with Ghislaine Maxwell, who's been found guilty of abusing young girls in 2021 and sentenced to 20 years in prison. And Ghislaine Maxwell, of course, just held the committee, the deposition hearing hostage, in which she asserted that she will give up the tea, spill the beans, if they give her a pardon. If Donald Trump's if Donald Trump pardons her, lets her out of prison, drops the charges against her, then she'll speak up in a deposition. This is what she said. And they went on to say that Trump has not ruled out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. Of course, he has not ruled out a pardon for her. He pardons criminals. He pardons scammers. He pardons abusers all of the time because he is one of them. All of them that I just named, he's one of them. An abuser and a scammer, a criminal convicted of 34 felonies. So him pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell is absolutely not out of the question. The only reason he hasn't done it so far is because there would be a public outrage over this one. Not that he necessarily cares about that even, but we all know, and he knows, that his hands are also dirty in this whole diabolical plot to abuse these young girls. And thus, he figures to just leave that whole situation with Ghislaine Maxwell alone. He's trying to get as far away from that as he possibly can. And he hates the fact that these Epstein files keep bringing it back to him and keeping the attention on him and his predatory ways. And again, anyone that supports him, this administration, any one of you MAGA maggots, you're all sick in the head. That's where you're sick at. You're sick in the head. You're sick in the head. And you're sick in the freaking head. If you triple Trump, and many of you did triple Trump, then you're a disgrace.
Two, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made young girls available to Trump on multiple occasions. For example, according to this file, Ghislaine Maxwell presented a young girl to President Trump who spent more than 20 minutes apparently flirting with her. Here's another example. This shows notes from FBI investigators that describe Jeffrey Epstein transporting a victim to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President Trump, where he bragged to Trump that, quote, "This is a good one." Now, I'm not saying that the president is a pedophile, but there is a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who are pedophiles. What's crazy about all of this?
Yeah, she doesn't want to say it, but it's all right there. Epstein said he's taking a young girl to meet Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And she's going to be a good one, Trump. You're really going to like her. You know, I forgive you for going first on a 13-year-old girl, where we got into it and I was ready to delete you over that. That's how serious I was, that I wanted to abuse her first. And you went first, Trump. This is what's in the Epstein files. This is not me. This is what the files indicate and have made explicitly clear, that Donald Trump abused a 13-year-old girl, according to her, and that Jeffrey Epstein abused her secondly, and was upset with Donald Trump was Jeffrey Epstein because Donald Trump abused her first. These are some sick individuals. Reminds me of times when these individuals would get into it with one another when they were lynching a black man. And they would be fighting over who's going to get certain body parts, get certain souvenirs of the deceased, brutalized, mutilated, humiliated black man. And they would start fighting with one another. It would be riots and all sort of stuff sometimes at the sites of these lynchings. And they were rioting with one another because of their lust to get a body part of the individual that they just desecrated, as if he was something worse than an animal. And that's what Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein did. They're fighting over who's going to abuse a 13-year-old girl first. It's just in their DNA. They just can't help. They're just sick. The sooner that you understand that, the better off you will be. The best damn sure been the better off I've been. As soon as I got it, as soon as I understood, ain't nothing you can, these people are sick up here. As soon as I understood how sick they were up here. Things got better for me.
It's just that this is a big cover-up. And this administration is engaged in it. In fact, this administration is complicit. But there are numerous others, like how the DOJ is attempting to obstruct justice in the investigation of the rogue agents who have murdered American citizens, or how the DOJ seized voter data from Fulton County in an attempt to steal the 2026 midterm elections, or how federal agents have Tom Homan on tape accepting a bribe and your agency killed the investigation, or how your agency is ready to give the president a $230 million payday, which is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear. The president shall not receive any payment except his salary while in office. The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history. An attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
Gentlelady yields. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized. Gentleman from Kansas, the Attorney General, former Attorney General, Mr. Schmidt is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and General Bondi, thanks for being here. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we talk?
I do. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you.
Yeah, I bet she does have something to say. Let's see what old Pam Bondi has to say in response to that. You will go down and be considered one of the worst attorney generals in history because you're here protecting PDF files like Donald Trump. You're spending more time arresting people and directing ICE than you are prosecuting these individuals who have abused these young girls. Sick. These individuals are sick.
Friend for many years. I find it interesting that she didn't even want to try Congresswoman Crockett to ask any questions because she certainly did not condemn her leader, Hakeem Jeffries, for taking money from Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein was convicted. And I will be brief to give you your time, Congressman. This is what she didn't want to talk about. Texas, from Cuba, convicted, homicide, arson, weapon offense.
Convicted.
You know,
So what we
Estrada,
talking about? Convict
Texas,
some of these
convicted,
perpetrators that
homicide.
rape these women that are
Chairman,
sitting
time
behind you
time
that
belongs
you
to the
refuse to
gentleman
even
from
acknowledge
Kansas.
they are here.
Time belongs to the
Texas.
gentleman from Kansas.
Mr. Chairman, could I have a few seconds
You
back
bet,
to make
you
up
bet.
for the yelling? Thank you. General,
Thank
did you have
you,
anything
Congress.
further to say?
Texas, convicted of homicide. Cecil Joseph from Dominican Republic. Texas, convicted for kidnapping, rape. Khalid Khan from Afghanistan. That's why they want to talk about Epstein and not what's happening in their own.
No, we want to talk about Epstein, Pam Bondi, because Epstein is accused of abusing loads of minors, of little girls, and very rich and powerful people were a part of this abuse for what seems like a very long time. And these survivors deserve justice and want answers and want someone to be held accountable for this cover-up. And you are creating a smokescreen and bringing a distraction, or this is your aspiration anyway, away from the truth of the matter, which is that the American people do want to know about Epstein and his abuse and the other people who were involved in this abuse, who have been getting away with it since the story broke many years ago. No, who's been held accountable? Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison. That's about it. Epstein went and they offed him when he got there. When he got to jail, he didn't off himself. They offed him because he was going to spill everything, going to spill the beans. He was going to finger all of these rich and powerful people in order to get out of the situation himself. This is a deep cover-up, and these are some deep, sick individuals, psychotic, maniacal, diabolical, covetous, rapacious individuals. And the sooner that you understand that, again, the better off you will be. Pam Bondi, there you have it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Jasmine Crockett served her on a platter, ate her up, Now, I mean, Democrats are also complicit in the Epstein files and in the destruction of the country. I don't agree with most of the Democratic policies either, and such as are Democrats in their positions, such as Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and Cory Booker. They have no backbone. They're spineless. They refuse to stand up to Trump. They constantly vote to send money to Israel. And as she just said, Hakeem Jeffries accepted money from Jeffrey Epstein even after his conviction. I can believe this sort of stuff because they're all in cahoots together. They're all dirty. They're all culpable and complicit. Democrats and Republicans. They're one and the same. Stay safe and stay free, people.